everyone, it's Tanny Games here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we need to talk about that end teaser. Oh my goodness. Now this is my warning for anyone who hasn't completed the not Storybook Vale, Wishblossom Ranch. If anyone hasn't completed Wishblossom Ranch, if you don't want spoilers about this cutscene, please switch off now. Come back to it later. I don't want to ruin this for you all, so this is my warning. This is what we're discussing today, is that end teaser. Hopefully now everyone who doesn't want to be spoiled is gone, so now we can get into it. Let me just play you this clip real quick.
No bother.
So there you go, that was the teaser. So in case it wasn't obvious, this does tease Winnie the Pooh, and honestly I am so excited. Obviously we reacted to it on stream, you know, we completed the game, and so we had my live reaction. It was very emotional. I feel myself welling up, just the way they did that iconic Winnie the Pooh music. I'm getting choked up thinking about it. It was just so beautifully done. So I am very excited. So I think this does mean our next DLC is going to feature Winnie the Pooh. And I actually think they teased more than just that. So let's get into this. So we know the end teasers are a thing that just happens all the time. When we completed the first the base game, we got our teaser for Jafar. Now originally I thought that was going to be for Act 2 of the base game, but as it turned out, it was actually a teaser for the first DLC, which was A Rift in Time. At the end of A Rift in Time, we got a teaser for Storybook Vale, and then at the end of Storybook Vale, we got a teaser for Wishblossom Ranch. So this teaser clearly points to the next DLC. Now, there is a major difference here in that this is the first time a DLC has released in one entire unit. Usually the DLCs, the end part, would release around summer, and then there would be a 6-month gap till the next DLC. Well, 5-6 months roughly. This time there's potentially a whole year. However, I almost don't think there is going to be a year. I actually think there's going to be less than that. I think it's going to stick to the same, you know, 5 to 6 month wait time between DLCs. And I think what we're going to get is a mini DLC. Now, mini DLCs have been a hot topic in the community ever since we had our survey, which asked our feelings on mini DLCs. Now, I have always been open to the idea of mini DLCs so long as they are priced at a price point I think is fair. For me, I think if it's a mini DLC, obviously it depends on the level of content there is, but I would be looking at paying £10 to £15 max. I think if it's a mini DLC, half the price of the standard DLC makes sense, in my opinion. As I said, it depends on the level of content. You know, if a mini DLC is almost as jam-packed as a proper DLC, then price it at proper DLC pricing. You know what I mean? Just have it be a proper DLC. But it really does depend on the amount of content for me. But I think about £10 to £15 is about right as a price point. As I said, half the price of a regular DLC. But yeah, since they were in the survey, a lot of people have been predicting them. For me, I thought mini DLCs would be a great way to introduce characters to the game that perhaps are a bit more divisive. Live action characters, for instance, characters from Marvel, characters from Star Wars, you know, the IPs that Disney have acquired and then produce their own content for. I thought mini DLCs would be perfect for that because they didn't feel tied to the storyline potentially. They would probably feel a bit more selective as a choice and things like that. So I actually did my predictions for next year. I did that a while ago. I have a video on my channel and I actually predicted that the first mini DLC we would get would be Star Wars. I now don't think that is the case. I was predicting Star Wars around springtime, which I thought would be kind of adequate spacing. And I thought that would tie in, you know, if they did a May the 4th event and stuff like that, to have the DLC drop there would be really good. Now I actually think we're going to get a mini DLC that is in fact going to be Winnie the Pooh themed. Now spoilers obviously for the quest line. I mean, this whole thing's been spoilers. Why am I saying that? Tigger does make reference to certain characters. When he talks to our player, he says, "Before you, nobody was here. No Pooh Boy, no Pigletty Pal, not even old Long Ears. That's why I had to wish this place better. And what's better for a Pooh Bear than a big honeyful? Hoo 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 hoo." And when that was said, that really stuck out to me. It really did stand out. And I think that's actually a teaser for the next characters we're getting in a mini DLC. I think we're getting a mini DLC that is going to be 100 Acre Wood themed. I think it's going to be based entirely in the 100 Acre Wood. I think we're going to have Pooh. I think we're going to have Piglet. And I think we are going to have Old Long Ears Rabbit. I think that's who we are getting for the next DLC. We'll have 3 characters. It will be Winnie the Pooh themed. We'll probably get their houses. It might be set in a 100 Acre Wood, so it might just be a very woodsy biome. We might not have a lot of different, like, you see how the regular DLC, we have the Gulch, we have Pixie Acres and the Ranch. It may be that the mini DLC only comes as one kind of biome, so a third of the current size of our map at the moment, and we would have those 3 characters, and they'll probably have like storyline and a quest line and things like that, but much more scaled down to what we go through in standard DLCs. So that is my prediction, and we might find that we get more themed DLCs like this in the future. We might find that they do branch into, you know, the IPs like Star Wars and Marvel and stuff, but we could find that we end up with a Pixie Hollow DLC, which brings in the Fairies franchise. We might find that we have some kind of water themed mini DLC, which brings in specifically water-based characters. We might go on a scuba diving like submarine thing, and when we're transported, we're actually transported into an underwater biome, which would work well, because this has been something I have been saying about an underwater world, would be how would we transition if they just made an underwater biome as part of a regular DLC? How would we transition from the land to the water? If we have that loading screen in between, and whatever we load in is the water, and we don't have like the sky and stuff, we just have water above us, I think that could really work. I think that would kind of make sense. And that loading screen could be that buffer, and like perhaps when we load in, we automatically have a mermaid tail or something. I don't know. But I think that could be a good idea and a good concept kind of thing. I think there's lots of possibilities. But this is just kind of like my initial thoughts, and I wanted to see what your thoughts are. So my prediction is a mini DLC next year, perhaps around spring to summertime next year. It's going to be 100 Acre Wood themed, and we're going to get 3 characters in the DLC. One being Pooh, one being Piglet, and one being Rabbit. And then that still allows us to potentially have add-on characters in DLCs, like Eeyore and stuff like that at a future date, or even perhaps a Realm update or a Valley update. You know, they could bring those characters in separately. I still think there's potential for that, but you'll have to let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think it's a mini DLC, or do you think it's going to be the teaser for a DLC next year? Do you think they're going to wait 12 months? Because that is very possible. It could just be a standard DLC and we could be waiting the full year. Honestly, the possibilities are endless, but this is my initial prediction. I wanted to get it out there. We do a lot of theory, speculation and predictions on this channel, so obviously I had to put my own thoughts out there. But you'll have to let me know what you think. I am so excited about the future of this game. It's been an absolute blast. And I have actually quite enjoyed this DLC, which I didn't actually expect. It surprised me more than I expected. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. And TTFN, ta-ta for now. I want to say a huge thanks to our super top members, Angry Shroom, Spread Lake and Caroline Rose. Thank you so much for going above and beyond for support on this channel. I really do appreciate it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.